Hi, good evening. Welcome to the Jon Gaunt Show. Asking the question tonight, is Starmer finished? Labour's landslide, it's over. Reforms rise. And also the rise in public anger is surely going to see off Keir Starmer. What's your opinion, please? I want to have it, and I want to have it as quickly as possible. I've got loads to say tonight. Hope you had a good weekend. So is Keir Starmer already finished? Just months after that massive, historic landslide, public anger is like nothing else I've ever seen in my life. It's exploded. And a new political force is rising fast, whether you like it or not. Nigel Farage and Reform UK, Richard Tice, etc., they're going to take over. Britain is heading for a shock realignment. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. If you agree, get in touch now on the comments. If you disagree, fine. If you're watching this later on Catch Up or listening on an audio podcast, you can still take part. Let me have your views on Facebook, Twitter, and, of course, on Jon Gaunt YouTube. And if you want to help, that will always come in handy. So I'm not going to pull any punches. You wouldn't expect me to. Starmer, he promised change. But instead, he's facing the lowest approval ratings ever recorded for a prime minister. That's why I've got him in the picture today looking absolutely frit. He's scared of his own shadow. He's gone missing again because he knows he's going to get slaughtered. He went missing last week when he should have been talking about the Muslim Pakistani rape gangs. He's gone missing again today. He's usually at the EU, isn't he? And what was that he said at the weekend? We're right behind you, Zelensky. I don't think we are, Starmer. I don't think anybody in Britain is behind you. Not even your wife, by the look of it. Anyway, let's look at crime. Let's look at illegal immigration today. We've hit a landmark figure. 10,000 illegal immigrants have got out of rafts and dinghies at Dover. I look back on this and I remember we did a podcast about illegal immigration and what I call the Dover dinghy boys just a few weeks ago. I thought it was about a month ago when it hit 9,000. I look today, it's about 8 days ago. That's how quickly the crisis is developing. And what does Starmer do today to react to that, rather than talking about the illegal immigrants coming in the life rafts, in the dinghies? He's talking about legal immigration and reducing that. Most people in this country understand that needs cutting, but they kind of think, well, the government will do that. Starmer, you've missed the point again. What people are concerned about is illegal. The fact that these 10,000 men, all of fighting age, who have come in since Christmas, right? Since Christmas. And now the weather's getting better. I think they were saying it's nearly 400 already today. Who are they? What are they? Have they got violent intent? Look what's happening in Ireland. You've got to get a grip of this. And I'm telling you, on Thursday, he's going to get the biggest kick-in of his life. Politically, I mean. Because Reform are going to do really well. Now, I don't know if Reform are the answer. It concerns me that this could be another Rishi Sunak situation. I nearly entitled this video, If Starmer Was the Answer, What the Bloody Hell Was the Question? Because I don't understand how Starmer got elected. Well, I do. He was the best of the worst, if you see what I mean. But we don't want that to happen again, do we? Let me hear your views. So what else has he messed up? Well, as you see on my graphic today, which isn't behind me, I'm down dog sitting for my daughter, so I've not got the big green screen. But basically, I've said, it's the gangs. It's the dinghy boys. It's that skyrocketing crime. Somebody got killed today or this weekend with a crossbow. What is going on out there? And I'm not just blaming this on him, actually. He's inherited some of these problems. But what about the handling of the grooming gangs? There's been some pithy little stupid statements again today. We want a full public inquiry. Illegal immigration is just totally off the scale. And now the cracks in Labour's landslide are already showing. The backbenchers are getting stroppy. The real lefties want even more change. And with reform surging in the polls, and I'm confident that on Thursday they're going to do massively well. Massively well. What are you going to do then, Keir? It's a political earthquake. Do you agree with me? Would you like to come forward and tell me, are you pleased that Starmer's finished? Do you agree with me? Am I being over the top? What's your opinion? The honeymoon is over, as far as I'm concerned. I said this on Twitter earlier. The knives are out. Grooming gangs, violent crime, illegal immigration. He promised leadership. He promised he'd deliver us a new Britain. He couldn't deliver a bloody pizza. And even if he did, it'd be one of his illegals on one of those motorised bikes. He can't even clamp down on them. The man is useless. I'm going to go further. Keir Starmer has betrayed Britain. He's lied to get into power. And since he's been in power, and he's been there 10 months now, he's completely lost the plot. Today, instead of talking about the Dover Dinghy boys, he's talking about legal immigration and, cutting down on that a bit. That's not people's concern. People's concern are the fact that some of these illegals have raped, murdered, and committed vicious crimes in our country. You don't even know who they are, Keir, but you just keep saying, come in, come in. And the other great idea he's come up with today or over the weekend, him and Circus more like, they're going to now provide these people with houses. They want to get them out of hotels. I gave them the suggestion, the solution. You put them in army tents. Therefore, it's not as attractive to come. I'm not talking about treating them badly. If it's good enough for our boys, it should be good enough for an illegal migrant or an asylum seeker. But no, they're now offering private landlords, listen to this, because it's your tax dollars that's paying for it. They're offering private landlords 5 years guaranteed rent, plus any damage to the house over that 5-year period, the government will repair it completely at your expense. The government say at their expense. It's you who are paying for this. Rwanda might not have been a totally thought out idea, and I did criticize it at the time. But I can't see how giving people houses and then jumping the housing queue, I don't see how that's going to be a deterrent. I tell you what it is going to be, Keir. It's going to be a deterrent to you ever getting in power again, you miserable betrayal of a piece. Oh, shut up, John. Man. Anyway, that's my view. Now, what do you want to say? I'm saying the people who gave Labour a landslide are absolutely furious. His silence on the grooming gangs, on the Muslim Pakistani gangs, his weakness on crime, the open door immigration policy. There's a revolt coming. But could it be reform who starts to wipe that smug smile off Starmer's face this week in the local elections? I don't normally give a toss about the local elections. I don't know about you, but what do you think? Let me have your views. Let me have your views. You know what to do? Just write your comments up. There's loads coming in. I'm just going to do a little bit more just so you know exactly where I am on this. So Labour's victory was meant to be the dawning of a new era. Yeah, the special song. It's nothing of the kind. They said Keir Starmer was the safe pair of hands. Yeah, I don't think so. He's hardly Gordon Banks, is he? He's more that div we've got at Coventry at the moment. He's not a safe pair of hands at all. Just months later, it's only 10 months, remember, his approval ratings are in freefall. Public anger is hitting boiling point. Grooming gangs, rising crime, illegal immigration. Where is the leadership we were promised? He built his entire brand. I've been thinking about this a lot today, on competence and trust. But then it came time to act. He caved into what? Political correctness and woke, the rainbow culture. He refuses to speak the truth about Muslim grooming gangs and instead locks up anybody who dares to be white and does criticize them. He kicks out MPs in his own party, and he still hasn't apologized to her over the trans issue. And there's another one, the trans issue. I'm not that fussed either way, if I'm that honest. I'm not like a GB News pundit. I'm not that wound up. However, the public don't want it. He's on completely the wrong side of history every time. As I keep saying to you, he's got the Midas touch in reverse. Knife and gun crime now are exploding in our cities. I told you about the crossbow guy earlier. Illegal immigration across the channel is out of control. You can't. Mark White was on GB News today. He's a brilliant journalist. And he went on earlier about 9 o'clock, 9:30. And he said, 300 people so far. He came back on 10 minutes later and he was like he was doing the lottery. The numbers were just going up and up. Now it's 6 boats. Now it's 7 boats. Now it's 8 boats. If that happens, we did this little thing the other day. It's about 70,000 more people, even if it's only 700 people every other day. It can't go on. It's not sustainable. The government's response, though, has been nothing on all these subjects, but sheer and utter cowardice and incompetence. They haven't got a clue. I got the dictionary definition of the term clueless, because in my picture of him today, I've got him there and I just put the word clueless. It didn't deserve any more words. And the dictionary definition of that adjective, clueless, is having no knowledge, understanding, or ability. Well, that sums up our supreme leader, doesn't it? Yeah? It's a joke. And then he talks a good game about fairness, about equality. But the working class of this country who trusted him are now being stabbed in the back. He's betrayed us. And you lot aren't stupid, just like me. We're not stupid. So we're going to go to reform. It's gaining momentum massively, fast, accelerating all the time. Millions of ordinary Brits from former Labour strongholds to your Conservative heartlands are looking for an alternative that actually listens. That's all we want. We want him to listen and do some of the things that we want. But Starmer and his media mainstream buddies, their cheerleaders, won't admit it yet. But a political earthquake is happening. And when it does hit, the shockwaves will be felt all the way down Downing Street, Fleet Street, and in every BBC newsroom in the country. I watched Laura Kunsberg yesterday. Did you see it? She had nobody on from Reform. Oh, she did. She had one councillor. But she had the leader of the Lib Dems. Why? She had that Pat McFadden, who's a miserable Scottish sod, who's from the Labour Party. But where was Tice? Where was Farage? They're going to be the story this weekend. It's just a joke. And I'm going to break down, we're going to take your comments in just a moment. Then I'm going to break down why Starmer's collapse in support could spell disaster for Labour. Hooray! And why Reform UK might be just about to pull off the biggest upset, stay watching, in British political history. And if you're sick of the lies and spin, make sure you hit the like button on this video. Some of you have done it already. Or if you're listening on the podcast later, you've got to keep pressing like. It helps the algorithm. You've got to tell the computer that I'm brilliant or I'm saying what you want to hear, because nobody else is saying it. Even the so-called right-wing radio and TV channels, they all pull back before delivering, in my opinion. So if, like me, you're sick of the lies and spin, hit that like button and also subscribe to my channel, and join the conversation in the comments below. You can write anything you want now. So that's what I want you to do. I also would like you, if possible, to support me. And you can support me here on YouTube by doing a super sticker or whatever those fans things are. If you can, during the broadcast. That's brilliant. If not, after the broadcast or even during the broadcast, you can buy me a coffee or buy me a beer. Just go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. But as I say, there's all the links as well here on YouTube. So feel free if you want to join in. The more you can, the better. And the money helps. It helps. Look, the whole thing's improving the whole time. So thanks for that. Right. This is the Jon Gaunt podcast. Today, asking the question, is Starmer finished? Is Labour's landslide over? Is reforms rise happening? Yes, it is. And let's just go back to that dictionary definition. Do you believe that Starmer is clueless? Which means having no knowledge, understanding, or ability. And then underneath it says in the dictionary, from the Oxford Dictionary, quote, you're clueless about how to deal with the world. Sums him up completely. Do you agree with me? Right, let me get you some comments. Thank you for staying on for so long without me coming to you. Pip Tomlinson, I'll come to yours at the end if that's okay. It's slightly off the agenda. Magpie 1972 on YouTube. I'm fed up of these new parties. Just stick with reform and start to kick out the rot from politics. Yeah, I agree. If you're somebody who wants change, you can't, even if you thought Rupert Lowe was the best thing since sliced bread and Ben Habib, they got no chance of getting anywhere. Farage has got the candidates. You got to put your vote there, haven't you? Who owns Serco? I don't know, Magpie 72. But it's probably like, do you remember all the PPE during COVID? And before that, we had things where government ministers owned it. I remember Theresa May's husband owed something, a big security firm. It might have been Serco. Good evening, John, says Dark Angel. Thank you. Christopher Blockley. I personally think he has a mental health problem, Starmer. Blimey. As whatever the public thinks, he does the complete opposite. Well, that's kind of where I'm coming from with this broadcast today, Chris. So thank you for backing me up. I call it the Midas touch in reverse. He's got an open goal. He could easily score, and then he says something stupid like, let's get the people out of the hotels. We're going to get them all out of the hotels. We're going to smash the gangs. Well, he hasn't smashed the gangs. He couldn't even smash his own avocado on his toast in the morning when he's having a cafe latte. And he's also not done the rest of it, has he? He's a liar. He's a betrayer. He's a con man. And he's not a very good con man, because a very good con man would make you think he is achieving anything. He wasn't stop the boats. That was Rishi. Smash the gangs. What a load of BS. He's done nothing. Oh, and we're going to get them out of the hotels. Hurrah! Hurrah! We're all so happy about that. But then he tells you we're going to put them in houses. Well, your relative's could have been on the housing list for ages. They could have been paying in for ages. Even private property will go up in value, in rental charges. But no, he's looking after the illegals, people who haven't paid a penny. I'm not having a go at the illegals. I'm having a go at him with his rainbow laces. Crystal Tips, I detest this government, John, with all my being. That's on YouTube. I agree with you. Dark Angel says people won't believe what he says now. Too much damage has been done. Yeah, but Dark Angel has got another 4 years. He's got another 4 years. He's conned his way into number 10. Tony Gould, YouTube. We need to kick out Starmer and his crazy out of touch government. Vote reform. Well, yes, but that's only in the council elections and a few mayoral elections this weekend, this Thursday. But I suppose it's a beginning. But we can't get rid of him. But then again, there wasn't anybody else in the main parties you'd vote for. So I blame all of them. A pox on all their houses. Or reform and they're right kind of immigrants. No thanks, says Chippy T for me. Well, oh, you're a lefty, are you? Is that meant to be some sort of sarky, sophisticated comment? Well, it's so sophisticated, it makes no sense. Are you suggesting that Reform are racist? Well, you're an arse, mate, because they're not. They are not. Phil Daniel says, what about his St. George's Day speech? Oh, yeah. He talked about everything apart from St. George's Day, didn't he? And apart from our culture. He hates our culture. That's what I've felt. That's what I've said on the thing tonight. He hates our culture. He hates everything about us. He's new liberal, Labour, Luba, Sheila Garthwaite, YouTube. He's a complete disaster. Starmer lied to the electorate to enter government. He promised to smash the gangs, and he's totally blinkered, says Mark Ockamore. Thank you, Mark. David Price says the tide is finally turning here in South Wales. The Labour Party's had an iron grip on power at local level and in Westminster. Reform is what people are talking about in the pubs and the working men's club. You're right. When I go out, lots of people talk to me about politics and that, and they know that I knew Farage and all the rest of it. And they say, what do you reckon? I said, well, it's taken me some time to come round to it, but he's the only alternative. He's the only hope we've got. Because these lefties, they say, oh, this, that, and the other, but they haven't got an alternative. It'll just be more of Starmer. I see the public sector workers, God bless them, they want a massive pay rise now. Well, they got a pay rise when he came in, despite the 24 billion deficit, which he said he inherited, the black hole, which he's never told us what it was made up of. I'll come back to your comments on in a moment, but I just think this is completely crazy. This new leadership that somehow boring. That's what they kept going on about, didn't it? Middle management. That's what we need. We don't need charisma like Boris. Yeah, we need somebody who's a good manager. Really? He wouldn't get a job managing Aldi. It's tough on crime talk versus the reality. Crime is on the up. No wonder we've let in 10,000 people since Christmas. Men. I don't see many women on those boats, do you, or children? And what's Idle Hands going to do? Look what's happening in Ireland. There's almost a bloody revolution. Is that what he wants in our country? Because I don't want that. The only time he got really tough was when the rioters kicked off in Southport. And I'm not justifying it. And I know, but I do think some people should not have been sent to prison. They weren't given fair trials because they would have just accepted the plea bargain, so to speak. However, I don't condone the violence against the police, and I don't condone people who wanted to burn the hotels down. However, can't you understand how upset they were? And he knew it wasn't a Muslim, but he didn't tell us. He also knew that the fella was making ricin. Why didn't he tell us? Not just me saying this. You've got top terrorism experts saying that he built into it. And then you've still got stupid lefties like that Tippy T for me. Oh, I'm so working class. That Burke who's just commented. People like him would be calling the riots the Farage riots. So it had nothing to do with Nigel Farage. And actually, when he said what he said, he was right. There was an information vacuum. Anyway, it's complete weakness on immigration, especially the illegal crossings. Why is he like this? We, the British public, gave him a chance. And now, I don't know about you, as the Sex Pistols said, ever got the feeling you've been cheated? At least Tony Blair did something in his first term. What's your opinion? The grooming gangs. I'm going back over the main subjects that I put on my poster today. Feel free to keep giving me more comments. Matthias Malthouse, on YouTube says the BBC has excluded Nigel and his party for many weeks, John. Well, I'm not sure if that's true. He's always on Question Time. But yeah, there is a feeling they do that, especially as we get towards the election, because they will not like Reform doing as well as they're going to do. Right, the rise in violent crime, the stabbings, the crossbows, the gun crime, the gang activity on the rise. What's he doing about it? He's got that idiot Sadiq Khan in London. What's he doing about it? Huh? And then we let the Palestinians and a load of Hamas people march in the streets. It's incredible. What about the EU? We voted to get out of the EU. When are they ever going to get over it, the Uber liberals and the Ramonas? You lost, we won, end of. But no, he's trying to get us back in. All last week he was over there with, what's her name? Useless Van Leyen. Yeah. They're trying to get us back in. He's already given them more fishing rights. What's going on? It constantly betrays the British working man and woman. What about his attitude to Donald Trump? Instead of attacking Donald Trump like they did before they got in power, they've carried on doing it. They're not quite calling him a racist or the Ku Klux Klan anymore. But we should be siding with Donald and America, not with his coalition of the useless. What have they achieved? Have you noticed it's all gone quiet there? They've said nothing about what they're doing. It's all gone quiet. And then I thought Trump was fantastic at the papal funeral when he says to Zelensky, and what a mess that bloke was. People picking on Trump because he wore a blue suit. At least he had a suit on. Zelensky came in his best combat gear. The guy's he's just playing to the gallery all the time. He's a typical actor. But let me tell you, so he sits down with Zelensky. Great photo op, by the way, in the, I think it was in the Basilica. And then Macron comes over and he wants to get into the conversation. Donald says, nah, mate, not today. Like a doorman. He held him in one arm, had the other one ready to push him out the door. No. I think he'll get peace there. It'll take time. And I thought what he said about Obama was dead right. I've been saying this for years. I remember when they gave away Crimea. No one decided they would fight for Ukraine to keep Crimea 12 years ago. Who was in power? Was it Donald Trump? No. Was it Joe Biden? Well, actually, it could have been, but it wasn't. It was Barack Obama. He, who you can't criticize. He walks on water. What a wonderful man. Although he sent back more migrants than anyone. Did you know that? Did you know that? How many wars did Obama get involved in? How many did Trump get in his first term of office? 0. So on every key emotional issue, Starmer sounds more like a globalist broadcaster, a globalist bureaucrat than the champion of working class people that he claimed to be. And the thing that he hasn't realised, and the BBC, reform is no longer just an online protest group. Look at the polls. You don't get polls like that unless you got people on the street banging on doors. They are now becoming the real opposition to the establishment. They're not going to win the general election next time, although I wouldn't bet against it. But they only have to get enough votes from Labour and the Tories to create complete and utter chaos. And from chaos will come change. So if Starmer can't hold the trust of voters just 10 months, is it 10 months? Yeah, 10 months into a massive majority, how long, you tell me, how long before the whole thing falls about? The local elections are the next battleground. There could be a shock by-election or result as well, because don't forget that one who thought he was Rocky, I've forgotten his name now, Mike went at Amesbury, his seat's up, although the woman who's going to win it for reform, I don't really like her, Angela, whatever her name is. But there'll be other by-elections, because the moment the local election results come in, they'll all start going, and they'll be worried about losing their seats. There'll be defections to reform. Mark my words. So there's a potential leadership challenge within Labour if this happens. But I don't know who would take the job. Huh? Yvette Cooper? I don't think so. Angela Rayner? So in the next few months, the cracks are going to become a full-blown collapse. The mainstream media aren't going to talk about this because they're all buddies. I've told you this loads of times. I worked in London. I know these people. They're all sleeping with each other, metaphorically or literally, or in some cases, both. They're all in each other. They all go to the same dinner parties, snort the same cocaine off the same mirrors. They're all stinking hypocrites. They're all like pigs with their snouts in the trough. Oh, are you doing Laura? Are you doing Kunzberg? That's how they talk about it. I've seen them. I've been in the green room with them. See, this is the advantage I've got over other kids who are going on and doing political commentary. I've been there. I've been in the belly of the beast. I wrote for the blooming Sun. I went to the major political parties. I went to all the conferences. I do know what they're like. So if you want to know what's going on, you need to keep listening to me. So press that subscribe button. Press that bell, which means you'll get notified every time I do a broadcast. Because increasingly, I'm going to do some closed broadcasts where it's just me. I'm not going to have an audience, so to speak. So you want to know when I'm doing those little extra ones. And also, did you notice this weekend I put up the one about me being really ill, which was an audio, which is where I really started doing the podcasts again. It's an audio one. It's up about how I got sepsis. Have a listen and how I've recovered and how I'm trying to rebuild my life. I think you'll like it. I also put the one up about cashless society as well. So I'm looking back at some of the older stuff. So if you don't want to miss anything, subscribe now. Loads of people are doing it tonight. So thank you very much indeed for that. So if you want to know what's happening in politics and you want to have a different view, why don't you listen to me? Get now sorted out. Nice solar panels. Hey, let's switch off the sun. Yeah, that's another one of his crazy ideas. Why does he want to do that? How did Ed Miliband ever get in charge of any of that nonsense? Christian Carty on YouTube says, Labour who? Mark says, Labour entered government through money at the unions to pay for the train drivers, the NHS staff. Yeah, but I think they deserved it. He's going to clash with the unions when they all come with the begging bowl next time. I think you're right. Steve, evening, John. Starmer and Labour have been over from day one. Promises are all lies. They're doomed. Let's get reforming. Jake Morton Brown, that's a good old friend of mine, been following me for years. How you doing, Jakey? Good evening, Gaunty, he says on Facebook. Thank you for that. I'm just going to sit. Excuse me, I've got hiccups. Right. Anybody contributed any money yet? How are we doing on the money front? Huh? Come on. Let's have a bit of money involved. Keep this going. Otherwise, I'll be selling the bloody big issue. Or working for commercial. Anyway, Sneak needs to go with him. You never see him when something happens, says Dark Angel. You're right. Serco's main investor is BlackRock. Is that right? The people who made all the money in Iraq and in Afghan. There we go. Jake Morton Brown's come back now with a comment. Hopefully, if reform wiped the slate with Labour, it will trigger the usual leadership struggle we have loved in the Tories past few years. That's true. They changed their leaders more than I changed my underpants. Don't know who will replace him, but to use a cliche, it can't get any worse, Gaunty. Oh, you might be right. Maz, he played the biggest poker game. He knows nothing about our country and our people. Is that Maz? Is that you, my mate? He's poorly at the moment. Just let me know. Might be a different Maz. Starmer didn't get where he is today by being competent or likable, says Laird Kilbacken. That's very true. I know somebody who knows him really well, really, really well, hates him politically. He's Labour as well, this guy. And he says he's a devious. He calls him a commie, the way he gets rid of enemies. So he says, don't underestimate him, John. Evening, John. I'm hoping the local election on Thursday triggers the leadership struggle that the Tories made famous. Don't know who would replace him. I've just read that one. Don't mention Coventry City, says Steve. Oh, the Leeds fans on. No, how dreadful was that? We played with 10 men for most of the game. Hang on, though, Steve. You've got to accept our guy should never, ever have been sent off. And then we lose it in the last minute because that Brad Collins is just useless. Huh? The worst, useless goalkeeper. Dropped us right in it. Starmer couldn't negotiate himself out of a plastic bag, says Mark on YouTube. Well, should we test that? I quite fancy testing that. Come back, Liz Truss. All is forgiven, says Phil. No, Phil. We'll have the lettuce before we have her. Here we go. Chippy T for me, the little socialist is back. Let's see what he has to say this time and see if it makes any sense. What do you make of Farage's indifference toward the dwindling number of Englishmen and how he doesn't want to alienate the Muslim vote because they need it? Sounds like a conservative politician. No, well, that's your interpretation of what he said. What he said was mass deportations won't work. And if you alienate that community completely, you're not going to get in. Well, I think he's wrong. I think he's right, sorry. I think, just because you're a Muslim doesn't mean you're a bad person. Oh, Chippy T for me says, I'm not a socialist, I'm a nationalist. So I'm meant to know that, am I? I meant to know that from your ridiculous comment before. Well, if you're a nationalist, and if you buy a nationalist, you means you're a racist. You're still scum. I don't know. You can tell me later. David Price, Trump's popularity stems from the fact he gets things done, whether you like the things he's doing or not, is a moot point. At least he's decisive. He doesn't need the courts to decide what a woman is. That's a brilliant way to begin to end the program. Thank you very, very much indeed for that. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The idea that he didn't know. He did know, but he didn't want to say, did he? Because he didn't want anyone to think bad of him. That's what I think's wrong with Starmer. He thinks that if he says something and he upsets people, then that won't get him elected. People just want honesty, don't they? Isn't that what you want in politics? And that's what I'm going to try and keep delivering here on the Jon Gaunt podcast. Straight talking. Sometimes you're going to love it. Sometimes you're going to hate it. Sometimes you're never going to talk to me again. But at least it's my views. I don't sit at home thinking, what should I do today to wind them up? I know loads of people like that. Chippy T for me, he says he's a racist. Okay, bye-bye. That's you banned. Not interested in you. You're a piece of scum, right? You can believe in your country, but you do not need to be a racist. Racism is thick and moronic, and it doesn't achieve anything. And also, I'm not anti the immigrant. It's not their fault. They want to come. I don't blame them. We're a great country. I don't blame them, but we just can't have them all. I blame the politicians who have done sweet FA. And of course, now I blame Starmer. He's in charge. It's his fault. But Starmer is just a complete and utter joke. I just hope this week, you get out and vote. Normally, I wouldn't. I can't vote. We've not got a vote in Coventry this time. But normally, I wouldn't bother in the local elections. What a waste of time. But if it's such a massive backlash against him, he's going to have real problems surviving. So you've got to do your part, guys. It's down to you. Hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. If you have, please feel free to buy me a coffee, www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt, or donate on YouTube, whichever you fancy. Whatever you should be doing, if you're not already subscribing to my YouTube channel, and that is free, by the way, you should do that today. Dead simple. Go to the thing and subscribe. It's just a click, right? Don't get charged. It's free. But then you'll know every time I'm doing something, and you'll be able to see the whole archive as well. You might then want to become a member, and that's 99p or something, or whatever. That's up to you. But remember, I'm doing this for nothing. I'm doing this off my own, but I'm doing it mainly for my own oh, no, I don't want to sound like that. My own mental health, right? To get back in the game. It's not really, you know what I mean. Kev Phillips says, we were a great country. It is debatable whether we are now. I don't think it is, Kev. We are a great country, despite those idiots. Fred Holmes says, only drink tea. Sorry. Well, you can buy me a tea then. Stammering, I think you mean Starmer, is the worst PM in my lifetime. Liz Truss was close. Voting isn't the answer. Here we go. Anti-colonial resistance at every level is the only way to survive as a people. Haven't you got your homework to do? Anyway, I'm back tomorrow, 6:30. I'll still be at my daughter's house, so it'll still be this backdrop. Join me tomorrow if you can. If you want to comment and you've been listening on the podcast or you've been watching us on replay, please make sure you tweet it out to other people so that more people can hear it. And Karen Alexander, you're too late, love, with your rudeness about Nigel Farage. I won't even bother reading it. We start at 6:30, love. Do you want to try and get here on time? Huh? Or are you so superior and so lefty? You think you can be late? Huh? Well, you'd be late at your own demonstration. And Robbie Wright says, great stuff, Gaunty. Robbie, you're a man of immense taste. Well done. I'll be back tomorrow. I think I've alienated enough people. Great turnout for a Monday night. Thank you very much indeed. If you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, hey, hey. Don't forget to tell them you love them. and I'll see you tomorrow at 6:30. Thanks very much indeed. See you.